And we are live for yet another episode of an American Werewolf in New Jersey podcast. If you can't tell, well, I was going to say fireworks are going off in the background, but that clearly would not be true. But nevertheless, we are here for another cool episode to cover another cool movie. And I've got my special guest, Billy Moon Zombie here.
Yeah, what's up?
Fresh from the where are you fresh from? Where are you coming from after?
What, today? I came from the pub. We were watching the European Gold Cup.
Well, fresh from the pub, we've got Billy Moon Zombie here. Now, I got a chance to screen this movie recently, and I hadn't seen it for a while. And we're talking about Rob Zombie's The Devil's Rejects.
Yep.
Well, wait, before I do, let's hit him with the intro and then we can go. All right?
Sounds good.
I'm sorry that in the intro I didn't get a chance to use your new alias. You're going to have to front load this information to me a little bit in advance from now on.
Yeah, why should Sherry get all the fun? We'll give it a shot.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So I was thinking that I can't quite reconcile with Rob Zombie, the man that you hear speak, and, you know, I find him to be a very intelligent guy, a really good musician. I saw him quite a long time ago on the first stage of Ozfest when he did that stripped down tour without any of the makeup or anything like that. It's a very good band. I find him to be a very good filmmaker. I mean, we're here talking about it now, but I find, you know, this intelligent and even very funny man very difficult to reconcile with all this uber dark material that he always seems to put on the celluloid here. And it's just, you're like, holy shit, like you forget how dark some of these movies really are. It just doesn't seem to match with this humorous, you know, sort of, you know, everyday guy that, you know, you're sort of talking to, who does have a lot of cool stories, but still, I mean, I guess he's just really in touch with his dark side. Yeah,
you know, that's how he gets it out instead of burning people in their beds or whatever. Everyone's got their particular obsessions, and he's just obsessed with this certain time and era and horror movies. I can understand that. I grew up in the era of horror movies. I just happened to, you know, obsess more on Godzilla than, you know, serial killers, you know, but that's what he loves. But he's more, I've always said this, more than a rock star, more than a film director, he is a 100% an art director. It's just that he puts himself to star in all of the stuff that he's art directing. Like, he is art director first. He's like Tim Burton in that way. He has a specific style. He does things in a certain way. You know what it's going to look like. You know what it's going to feel like, whether it's music, whether it's film, whether it's cartoons or graphic novels. It all is Rob Zombie, and he has that one particular flavor to it, and it's brilliant. And he's always been art forward.
I recall at least 20 years ago or close to it, going with my friend Meg to go seeing House of a Thousand Corpses, having no idea what I was in store for. And
that was his first attempt.
And you're just sitting there like, what the hell is this? It's just this murder festival. Super hardcore. The last 15 minutes are just this I've only watched it the one time. Because
Really?
I've only watched it the one time. I'm not sure how I would feel about it on a second viewing. Although I think it's on Amazon now.
I think it stands up. I watch it, every couple 3 years. That is my favorite Rob Zombie movie out of all of his films. It's just really, really good. And there are 1,000 corpses in the movie. Someone counted, and there is actually, you do see 1,000 corpses at some point.
Well, I mean, I remember leaving the theater with my friend Meg, and the sensory overload was so bad in the last 15 minutes that my equilibrium was actually off for like a good 10 or 15 minutes. Like it really was. I felt off balance, like off kilter.
That's probably him feeling like he succeeded. That's definitely what I think he wanted to achieve.
And that's what brought me back with Meg a few years later for this movie, The Devil's Rejects. And unfortunately, Meg is no longer with us. But I remember going with her to those two movies, and she always brought fried cream cheese wonton. She always snuck it into the movie theater, and you could just hear this crunching going on while we're watching this gory, evil family sort of just massacre everything in sight. And
yeah, totally different movie. You take House of 1,000 Corpses, it is definitely one type of movie, and Devil's Rejects is a completely different movie with the same characters, but everything else has been shuffled.
Yeah, and he talks about that a little bit, about how he's gotten rid of characters, although they're in some deleted scenes like Dr. Satan, because he just felt that they were silly. And I think he's absolutely correct that if he had gone back into that format again, one, you would have had to have had a 100-minute movie at that last 15-minute speed, which would have made no sense. Or two, just had to do the whole thing over again. And instead he came back with something completely different where, everybody's feet are much more firmly planted on the concrete,
right.
Except they're just as evil as before. They're just as awful as before. Hold on, we've got some comments here. Eric's here with us. In my top 5 movies of all time. It's a favorite, man. It's a damn good movie. Hey, what's up? I love the Firefly trilogy in my top 10 horror films of all time. BWB Wrestling Network. He said he was going to stop in. Some hate the final scene with the Leonard Skinner song playing, but I'll never back down from his opinion. It showed me how much that family loved each other. It was oddly beautiful.
All right, we'll get into that and the music in a minute, I'm sure, but plenty to say about that. It's a good observation.
Yeah, Rob has a vision, and we'll get that vision on screen however he can. And Trenchy agrees with BWB about the last scene. Now, this movie was made in 30 days.
Yeah.
This movie was made in 30 days. Rob Zombie said that, when you actually when you make a movie, you'll see characters and they will, you'll say cut, and then the character will go back to the trailer, read a movie, read a book or play some video games or take a nap. There was none of that because the schedule was so thoroughly, narrowed. No actor ever really left the set, which I think in a way sort of contributes to the fact that they never had to recapture these particular moods that, just kind of got shot in one day, as opposed to stretching it out over time.
Right.
Like having, like trying to re-inspire yourself to have nails driven through your hands, probably not the simplest thing in the world to do. But he knocked it out in 30 days. People never left the set. And I was always under the impression in the very beginning that this movie took place the very next day after the events of House of 1,000 Corpses, but I saw something in the audio commentary where Rob Zombie says, because I have the unrated version, kind of like a director's cut with an extra 10 minutes, where this actually takes place 8 months later.
Yeah, at least. You see that what's his name has a beard. He's grown a beard, and things are a little bit different. So at the end of House of 1,000 Corpses, no one's the wiser. no one ever tracked down the sheriff that was killed. No one tracked down the kids that disappeared. It makes sense that it would be 10 months later, and they're still continuing to do their horrific things in that house.
Yeah, and I really liked how it established a much more firm ground. I mean, you felt like your feet were, on solid, concrete here when the opening scene really starts. Well, the opening scene starts with Tiny dragging a nude woman across the ground, and Rob said that they were kind enough to find a stunt woman who just, seemed to be able to tough this out, sort of expressionlessly.
Yeah, God bless Bigfoot from the Stern show. He is the best. When he first appeared in House of a Thousand Corpses, I was so excited because I loved him from the Stern show.
He has a way of just getting the most unusual people into his movies.
Yeah.
And he just makes them work. He makes it completely work. Now, he's got his regulars, like his wife stars in absolutely everything that he does. I don't think she's done anything that I can recall outside of his direction. But he just gets these oddly assembled people put together, and every single time it works. Now, this movie starts out with 10 cop cars rolling into the Firefly residence, and I didn't know what the casting was for this movie, but then I see the amazing William Forsythe.
Heck yeah.
Get out of the car, and I am an enormous William Forsythe fan.
Right on.
I go far back enough, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. I was caught up in the old Steven Seagal craze, and saw him play the scariest villain. One of the scariest I had seen up until that time in a movie with Seagal, and he was just mesmerizing because he's an actual actor, which was a rare thing for a Steven Seagal movie.
Right.
And he was just amazing as the sheriff, John Quincy Wydell, who's the brother of one of the murdered police officers, not Walton Goggins, but the other guy who has come here to sort of lay down the law for these people who are just, I think Bill Moseley is starting out. He's got a dead woman in his bed. It's just, it's kind of a mess.
All right, before you move on from that opening scene, you said something that was really interesting, how this movie seems to be more ground in reality and everyone's got their feet planted firmly on the ground. I always looked at House of a Thousand Corpses is very colorful. It's very, the cinematography is very clear, and it's psychedelic in the way that it's presented, in the angles, in the sets. And I always looked at it like House of a Thousand Corpses was the Firefly clan, or at least Bill Moseley's character, Otis, looking at himself. That's like his perspective. So that whole movie was told from the perspective of the Fireflies, whereas the second movie is more told from the perspective of Wydell, who is in reality. You know what I mean? So House of a Thousand Corpses was sort of like this hallucination that these sick people are having about themselves, whereas the reality of it, the graininess, just the realness of it is being told from the perspective of a cop.
I mean, again, I haven't seen A Thousand Corpses since, I saw it in the theater all that time. I guess I'm going to have to catch up to it. But yeah, it definitely had this, hallucinogenic sort of vibe to it. It almost seems to take off in the last 15 minutes into some sort of like supernatural vibe with the Dr. Satan character, and who is just completely taken off the table. He is involved in one of the scenes, but it's a deleted scene, where they actually cart him to the hospital in an ambulance. And Rosario Dawson has a part in that movie that's been completely taken out, and he actually rips out Rosario Dawson's throat before he dies.
Nice. I wish I got to see that. I've never seen that. Like, just based on the way the movie lies on celluloid, the last 15 minutes is whoever the narrator is, even though there's no actual narrator, but it's an unreliable narrator. It could even be a hallucination of the girl
Yeah.
who is trying to escape, and she's going through whatever tunnel is down there. So we don't know what's actually down there. So when they encounter all those weird monsters, we don't know if they're real or not. Because in the next movie, the monsters are the Fireflies, and there's no other. There's Tiny, but there's no other characters there.
No, and probably based on that, conclusion that we arrive at by the second movie, it is some sort of hallucination that's occurring because things are just so damn awful in that movie. It wouldn't surprise me. Hold on, we got a lot of comments here.
All right.
Let's see. Trenchy. All three of the Firefly trilogy movies have very different feels. Like House feels like RHPS mixed with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I don't know what RHPS is.
You're right about Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
The family
text is intentionally made to look like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, as well as a million TV movies that were made in the 70s. Things like The Car or Death Race or.
Oh God! Please don't bring up The Car.
What's wrong with The Car? It was awesome.
Oh, come on, man!
When you're 8 years old and and there's a possessed car killing people, and you want to stay up and watch that.
I have been as late as a month ago checking out YouTube for The Car to finally see what it is that everybody sees when that car goes over the cliff, and I still don't see it. Okay. It's been like 100 years, and I still don't see what the hell happens in that explosion. And I'm looking, and I'm trying to pause it, and I'm like, what the hell? I don't see anything.
It's the devil.
First,
I'll tell you what. You covered Jeepers Creepers a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I don't think, Jeepers Creepers tried really hard to make a movie that looked as good as Devil's Rejects, and it didn't quite get there, although it managed at the beginning to sort of capture that feeling of 70s horror movies. But I thought Devil's Rejects did it a million times better. What's another movie that tried was Quentin Tarantino, Death Proof. But he gives it up after the first 10 minutes of the movie. He just gives up that look entirely, and it goes to looking like a Tarantino movie. But
what I remember about Death Proof is just Zoe Bell strapped to that car, which is one of the hottest things I've ever. That scene is one of the hottest things I've ever seen. As for Jeepers Creepers, I didn't really get any 70s sort of vibe from it. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was a really good movie. That guy is just really dark, and that is actually based on a true story. And we're getting off on a bit of a tangent here, but it's based on a true story about a brother-sister that were riding together in a car and actually saw a man dumping a bloody sheet would look like a body wrapped in it. And because they were playing that license plate game, they were actually able to remember the license plate and turn him into the police. And I think right before they were going to arrest him, they figured out who he was or something like that. He ended up killing himself.
Well, if you watch the opening of Jeepers Creepers, watch that opening car chase. It's made specifically to kind of look like the movie The Car. That 70s sort of TV thrown together independent movie type of vibe, but it doesn't pull it off 100%, and it gives it up after a while. Whereas Rob Zombie, when he made Devil's Rejects, it 100% looks like it was made in the 70s, like 1977. It looks like Convoy. It looks like a bunch of cheap 70s movies, right down to the wipes where the entire screen moves from the left to right, or they put up those still pictures before wiping to the next scene. All those things were just fantastic little touches that sets Rob Zombie apart from a lot of other filmmakers. Like I said, art director first and then director, because it looks brilliant. It feels brilliant in the way that he did it.
And to be done in 30 days.
Yes.
Just to completely, bottleneck it through and to come up with that kind of a finished product. Very impressive. Hold on. A fantastic documentary called 30 Days in Hell shows the making of the film. Highly recommend it. Yeah, I have that. That's part of my my DVD pack. but I didn't watch it for this. But they still all feel like they fit in the same universe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hold on. Is this streaming anywhere? No, it's. I just checked. It's streaming nowhere that I saw. It might be on like Epics or something like that. I was looking for it. I thought it used to be on Amazon as of about a week ago, but I had it. I went to try to stream it so I wouldn't have to get up and pull out a DVD. I'm so damn lazy. But then it wasn't available, so I actually had to get up and walk over and do it.
I actually grabbed it off of pay-per-view.
Yeah. Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. I don't like people spending the money. I thought maybe you had it.
I don't mind spending $3 to see the Devil's Rejects. Well
money well spent.
But again, laziness, because if I went to my shelf in my media room, I would have just pulled the DVD off the shelf. But I was sitting there lazy with the clicker and just went for it.
Oh, okay. Well, now I completely don't feel bad about it at all. Yeah, in that same boat as me. Okay, Tiny is awesome. Let's see. The guy that played Tiny was frustrated in the first one because he wanted to kill people and couldn't since he was the good guy. So it was cool to finally see him get his wish in this movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to watch it again. I feel silly now a bit. Well,
we're talking about
like
the actor himself. Yeah, he didn't get to kill anybody. He was like the soft touch in the first film, and he got to kill people in the second. That was awesome.
William Forsythe is amazing as the biblical sheriff. Well, I think it is Alabama. He's kind of serious version of Lefty from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Dr. Satan just didn't fit. Yeah, and that's what Rob Zombie said. He said he just felt silly. So there's some deleted scenes where when they go into the house after the shootout, they find him, and there's just one scene where they're like putting him in the back of an ambulance because apparently he's barely able to do anything.
Yeah, it's much better if they kept it realistic to just the family, the mother, the tow truck driving guy, Tiny, and the three Spalding and the sister and Otis.
All right, well, apparently you've made a friend with Trenchy here because he loves the car.
Good for you, Trench.
So one of the things that also stick out about this, it's got a damn solid soundtrack.
Heck yeah.
Holy shit, you've got Joe Walsh, you've got the Allman Brothers, you've got Buck Owens, you've got Leonard Skinner, you've got Terry Reid. I mean, it's an amazing, amazing soundtrack. I mean, it's one of those things where you could just like put it on now and like read a book and, it'll take you right away. It's
super interesting how he used these classic rock anthems and put them in this position where he's matching it with some of the worst deeds imaginable. It's like if you watch this film, even though they show little bits of showing the humanity of these soulless monsters who just kill and rape, they never do anything that's approaching redemption. It's just them in their private lives being normal, quote unquote, and he matches that with these classic rock anthems, and it makes you not want to hear those songs anymore because now all of a sudden, Freebird is the soundtrack to the shootout at the end,
He said that he did some research and he tried to find out if anybody, and we're just kind of moving all over the place, but that's fine. He said that he tried to find out if any other movie had leaned heavily on Freebird. He said he couldn't find anything. He said he spoke to his friends who are serious Skinnerd fans, and none of them could think of any movie where, it had this heavy influence. And so he just decided to go for it. And I guess because he's Rob Zombie, it's easy enough for him to get permissions. He probably just has to, make a call to somebody, and, everybody seems to be willing to let him use their music. I remember in the initial opening of Halloween, it starts off with God of Thunder.
Right.
He's got Rush, Tom Sawyer, all these fantastic songs going, throughout his soundtracks. And,
it's funny. He used Fooled Around and Fell in Love.
Yeah.
The point where they're in a whorehouse. That makes me crack up every single time.
And the next time you see that movie being used, it's like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, which was about as far removed from the Devil's Rejects as you could possibly get. You got a Disney movie on one hand, and
Right.
your cousin Rob Zombie, there, Billy Moon, right on the other side of it. Now, this also has a damn good cast.
Oh,
I mean,
excellent cast.
Sherry Moon Zombie, the great Sid Haig, Bill Moseley, just these unlikely people, and we'll get into it a bit more. But I mean, they are essentially the Firefly family, and their baby. Sid Haig's their father. You've got Bill Moseley and Sid Haig battling constantly for control of who's in charge of the family, who's going to be the alpha male.
Right.
It's like the old guard and the new guard. So you do have that sort of family dynamic that's going on. And, that's the only way I think that Zombie's able to even make them even slightly relatable. But he said that if he didn't do those things, he felt that the movie would just be unwatchable because it would just be unbearably bleak.
Yeah. So you have these short minutes of relatable, just people being human, even though they're covered in blood, and then you go back to some more horrible stuff.
Yeah,
it's really good. And yeah, apart from Wydell, you got what the Juliette Lewis's father is in it.
yeah.
The woman from Three's Company that replaced Suzanne Summers. I always forget her name.
Yeah, same here.
But also classics. PJ Souls is in it.
Yeah.
And the girl who plays the blonde hooker she always popped up as a singer in 80s teen films. I can't remember her name either, but she's just always there. I remember her from Better Off Dead.
Well, I mean, and to completely round it, I mean, he even got Ginger Lynn somehow in on this.
Yep.
The former adult film star Ginger Lynn, makes like a 5-minute entrance into the movie, of course, in a sex scene. He's got so many good people in this.
The only thing I was disappointed was that he couldn't get Karen Black to return as Mother Firefly. Not that the one who did it was disappointing. She was really, really good.
She was solid.
I'd like to see Karen Black do the sequel.
Yeah, the more we're talking about this, the more I realize I need to get back on 1,000 Corpses, and I'm sort of on vacation now, so I'm going to have to take a night and just sit down on the couch and check this out and get back to everybody about it. Now, what?
I said, do it.
Yeah. All right, hold on. Now, I just want to say real quick, Sid Haig did come back for the 3 from Hell, but at that point, I think he was in advanced illness, and you could see it, but how, sort of unhealthy he looked. But, he was tremendous. And especially when you get to the second half of the movie and he sort of wipes that paint off his face, and you get to the real sort of Captain Spaulding.
I haven't seen that one yet. I really have been delaying it. And when you invited me to do this episode, I delayed it even more for whatever reason. I've been meaning to see it.
I was just having. I'll refrain from holding any commentary on it until after you see it. Then
spoil away. It's my own fault, but
no. I was just going to say I didn't feel that it held up. And somebody was just saying, I was talking to somebody online earlier today, and they were saying that it might have been somebody here in the comments, and they were saying that he waited too long, and it didn't feel like the characters were able to make contact. The actors were able to make contact with those characters anymore.
Right.
It was a little unnecessary.
Yeah, but that's probably true, but he probably got offered a shit ton of money to do it.
Yeah. It was funny because he says that, you get supplied a cast, and I guess this was a Lionsgate film, and he gets a cast to work with them and, a crew. But he said by the end of the second day, the crew is looking around like, what the hell have I gotten myself into here? Making this movie, and it's rough stuff, man. It's rough stuff. But, I mean, you've also got the great Ken Foray. From Dawn of the Dead, you've got Michael Berryman.
Always a good pop up. I keep remembering him from Weird Science, where he's like, "I'm a teacher. Let's keep this between let's keep this between us. I'd hate to lose my teaching job.
Well, I mean, from The Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah, absolutely.
He seems to have this ability to bring people that have largely sort of been forgotten about and give them new life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so the serious horror fan, sits down in the theater and says, "Holy shit, that's Michael Berryman," or "Holy shit, that's Ken Foray." Whereas largely you don't see these people outside of, these sort of casting situations. I mean,
right.
He uses Ken Foray a lot. He was in Zombies. He was in Zombies Halloween.
Yes.
Fantastic stuff. Hold on a second. We've got, I saw Rejects Before Corpses, and I fell in love with the universe because of the way Rob used music to help the story along.
Nice.
I prefer Leslie Easterbrook over Karen. Oh, Eric prefers Easterbrook over Karen Black.
Okay. That's fair.
Yeah. E.G. Daily.
Yep.
E.G. Daily and Ginger Lynn both return in 31. I started to watch 31. And I didn't get through it. I think I fell asleep. I've got to get back into it.
Not my favorite of Rob Zombie's movies, which I have to say he's done some stinkers in my opinion. Halloween 2 being one of them.
I liked Halloween 2.
31 is the other one that I just was disappointed in.
I wasn't terribly pleased with the Lords of Salem.
No? See, I like that one a lot.
It was a little too much Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah. I could see that.
Couldn't watch the whole thing. Didn't feel like the same people. Yeah, I'm talking about Three from Hell. Zombie is very much like Tarantino in that respect, bringing back those we left behind.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to see him work with Bruce Campbell and see what would happen.
Yeah, it might happen. It might happen. We've also got Diamond Dallas Page.
Heck yeah.
And Danny Trejo. Just this, it's sort of an ensemble. It's an ensemble of oddities of a sort.
Yeah.
But it really is like, oh my God, he's in it. Oh my God, she's in it. Oh my God, and it's just, you're sort of reeling from being impressed by how many cool people are in it. But at the same time, everything that's happening in this movie is just god awful.
Yeah. But but the performances are so good, you never get taken out of any scene. And that's a testament to how good these actors are. Even though he's doing fan service by bringing all these familiar faces in, literally, each one of the scenes, I never get pulled out of it by going, "Oh, that's the Hills Have Eyes guy." It's just this weird guy, and he's going through doing the scene.
When we get to the motel, that is probably some of the most awful stuff I've seen. I'm not one of those people who's into like the torture porn horror, that kind of stuff, but it's just awful where they kidnap these people. And, he's talking about how everybody in the scene, Sherry Moon Zombie, Bill Mosby, they absolutely hate what it is that they're doing.
Right.
They're putting on the performance, but they're like, this is just absolutely awful. And, somehow they make it work.
Yes.
They're able to make you believe that, they are these fireflies, these evil bastards, these sadistic, fucks that just, murder, like you said, murder and rape, wherever it is that they go.
Yeah, I think hating the fact that they're doing it lends itself to the performance because it really does. It's really moving stuff, every single one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just terrible. And then it's interspersed with ideas like, or, quick scenes like Tutti fucking Frutti.
Tutti Frutti, man. Right after that most horrible scene in the world, they're talking about going and getting ice cream, and she bops him on the nose with her Tutti Frutti. Yeah. It's a funny little scene.
And
it's great. Yeah, I'm just saying it's one of those things where they're showing these people being humans and having fun right after that rape and death scene. It makes you hate the Fireflies even more, which is kind of different than like, let's say, The Sopranos, where the whole series, they're teasing redemption. You're hoping that Tony will get redeemed at some point, even though he keeps doing these horrible things. In this movie, there's no redemption. It's just them being selfish in that they could do rape and murder and cut someone's face off and wear it as a mask, and then right after that, go get ice cream.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
it's like it makes you feel like they're selfish as well as psycho.
well, I mean, that's an interesting take because he talked, and I'll get to that. Well, I'll get to that in a minute. I'll get to that in a second. But he said that basically that was like basically every family trip he had ever taken. Where dad's driving the car and he's telling everybody to shut up. And he said the only thing Bill Moseley didn't do was turn around and say, "If you don't shut up, I'm turning around and we're all going back home right now." So he said that was these small things that he could do to make these people even somewhat relatable, and it does draw a comedic laugh, which is a testament to. I mean, he wrote this, he directed it, and again, I keep coming back with all these movies that I review, unless you're on the something shitty list. Tight performances, tight writing, tight direction.
Yeah.
You put those things together and you've got a hell of a movie. And that's what we've got here. These people are on the run from the police. Huh?
The thing's 15, 16 years old. I watched it and it held together like it was made yesterday.
It's as awful as any. I saw it. I just finished it today, actually. And it's as awful as it was in 2005.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, these movies aren't things that I typically, check out and watch or, do that sort of, but I mean, you can't help it. It's just that fucking good. Now,
that's something that was missing from torture porn movies like Eli Roth's Hostel, where
I never saw that.
You don't get that humanizing comic relief. It's just unrelenting horror. Same thing with Green Inferno. Where it's just horror after horror after horror. At least Rob Zombie knows how to bring a little comic relief, let off that pressure before moving on to the next horror.
Yeah, I mean, at one point towards the end of the movie, and we're not talking about specific events. We're just kind of going through the movie here, and different themes. They get to the Ken Fore's brothel.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a scene like I could talk. Yeah, all right, let's talk about that. You talk about chicken fucking.
Yeah, this is a great scene.
Chicken fucking with Ken Fore and Michael Berryman, and he said one of the great things about it was that you have actors from Dawn of the Dead and The Hills Have Eyes, doing comedy.
Yes.
Showing some range.
Yeah, absolutely. Great timing, great chops.
Yeah, I mean these so often because horror is such a narrow, such a niche fucking thing. These people can get sort of typecast and forgotten about, and you don't realize that they actually are talented performers.
Yes.
And he gives these people in this small little, segment an opportunity to show that.
Absolutely.
Comedy's
not easy to do. It's not like just anybody can show up and pull off comedy on a film. I'll take you to the remake of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where they just grabbed whoever was popular. What was his name? Tricky or Goldie? Threw him in the movie. He couldn't do comedy worth a damn.
I never saw it.
Oh my God, don't bother.
Yeah, I'm not going to. BWB says, as a huge fan of Three's Company, this scene was extra jarring with Nurse Terry. Rob makes these disgusting characters likable. It shows how great his writing is, as well as the chemistry and charisma of the cast.
Yeah, especially Bill Moseley, man. I gotta say, Bill Moseley is the king, and he's so different than Otis. You would think he's typecast. He is such a nice, personable, artistic guy. Very conservative too.
Isn't he like a Yale graduate?
Yes, he's very smart.
He's a Yale graduate, and he's starring in Rob Zombie movies, and it's just when I finally saw it. Just to go out for a second, another Rob Zombie regular is Rich Brake. And when I saw Rich Brake make it to The Mandalorian, I was just so happy.
Nice.
I was like, finally, finally. All right, so humanizing these monsters, knowing that all families have these weird ass traditions. The
Right.
Firefly family just have some fucked up traditions. Yes, they certainly do. Cutting people's faces off. But we shouldn't forget that, that ultimately this movie is about a police officer and a sheriff's department that are chasing these monsters down.
Right.
And at one point,
Can I say it? The
but
Nietzsche line: those who would chase monsters must take care that they don't turn into monsters themselves.
well, yeah, go right ahead. What Rob Zombie said is that when it comes to William Forsythe, he goes, the righteous man is a lonely man. And, you have this choice, especially when they get to the brothel, the James gang is playing, they're drinking beer, they've got hookers, there's drugs all over the place, everybody's getting laid. And in the meanwhile, William Forsythe is starting to lose it.
Mm-hmm.
Because he realizes probably in order to shut these people down, he's already gone outside the law. He's already killed Mother Firefly.
Yep.
And he's just murdered her in cold blood. And he realizes in order to put these people down, that's probably what he's going to have to do.
Well, he's talking to his dead brother, so he's kind of already past the point of sanity.
I saw that scene and I interpreted it this way. I believe that he actually saw his brother. And maybe that his brother was trapped in that place and unable to find rest because of how horribly he had died.
Yeah.
So, I don't know that, that was lending to any particular mental illness, but I think what you had for the most part was a straightforward, Alabama 70s police officer who's suddenly confronted with like the Manson family on steroids and they're on the run. That kind of thing. And one of them killed his brother. Deborah Van Valkenburg from the Warriors and Streets of Fire was the other main lady. Oh, was she really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Great cast. Deborah Van Valkenburg. I remember her. That's the beauty of great artists. They can find that amazing story in the simplest theme. Don't become what you hate. Yeah, fair enough. Now, the trick of it is that, you're saying that you prefer, you find that when they do these relatable things, that it makes the that it makes the family even more disgusting. I have trouble saying Firefly family without flubbering it all over the place. The Fireflies.
It makes me despise them even more, that they can turn on and off this psychopathic need to kill and torture people. And all of a sudden come on, he's in the brothel getting laid, wearing the shirt that's stained with blood from the guy's face that he cut off.
I'm not arguing with you, but what Zombie said when he did all these various theater screenings at the point where William Forsythe starts torturing the Fireflies, the audience flips on Forsythe and starts to root for the Firefly family.
Again. That's the weirdest thing, is that you turn and start rooting for these horrible, horrible people. That's a pretty cool trick of filmmaking. It's like it's again like rooting for Tony Soprano in The Sopranos when he is a horrible, horrible human being.
See, I didn't get that far. I didn't jump off, into that particular bandwagon. I wasn't necessarily happy that they were being tortured, but the entire time, although I did find humor in chicken fucking and Tutti Frutti, I was rooting for William Forsythe the entire time, and essentially just wanted these people to be put down, like mad dogs.
Right.
But he said largely the audience ended up going with the killers. It's a strange freaking thing, man.
It is. It's pretty odd.
Yeah, I don't know. I find maybe with some horror fans, maybe they're embracing their dark side a bit too much. I'm not really sure. You can't really say for certain.
I don't blame them. It's set up to make you feel that way. We always fall for the anti-hero, but the anti-hero has to have some kernel of of humanity in them, which the Fireflies don't have.
No.
Regardless of how much ice cream they eat, they're not like Seth Gecko, who inside that rough exterior is at least a semi-decent person.
Yeah,
People
he's a
have
thief.
no semi-decent anything inside of them.
Yeah, in a way, they're kind of flat characters.
Right.
They're just bald-faced evil that, you have, a slightly comedic side. That there's no redeeming qualities to like any of those people. They're just like capital E evil, all of them. But somehow
there's no good winning in this at all. The cops are reprehensible, all of them, in this movie. So there is no good guy here. At the end, when the shootout happens, it's just evil versus evil, as far as I can tell.
How do you figure? Talk about that.
Well, I mean, William Forsythe is gone over the line. He is tortured. He is even though they're evil, he's become evil. So he's leading this pack of cops who mindlessly follow his direction, and instead of trying to arrest these people, they're just shooting them down like they did at the beginning. There was no attempt at arrest. There's no attempt at police work. It was cops show up, they're going to shoot you in your home in the beginning, and the cops show up and they're going to shoot you at the end.
See, I didn't necessarily have a problem with it because it just seemed we see so many films where bad guys go outside or beyond necessarily what the law can touch, and this felt like it just went much more into a natural law kind of narrative. You're going to have to put these people down.
Right.
I didn't see those police officers as evil. Like I think somebody said, it was almost like an Old Testament kind of judgment that came down on these people, and that was just it. I didn't want to see them go to jail. I wanted to see them put down, like I was just saying a couple of minutes ago. But
right, naturally, that's how you want to feel. But what is that? But wrath. It's your urge, your will to revenge, and that's not necessarily a positive attribute for any of us.
No, not necessarily. But in some cases, it might be necessary. Who can say?
Okay.
All right. So, hold on. Was Zombie making commentary on the police issues that we had to deal with in real life today? Well, this is from 16 years ago, so probably not. No, and it was set in the 70s. So, they're using Diamond Dallas Page and, all these ruthless bounty hunters that were, I would say that there are no nice people in this. Yeah, I wouldn't go so far as to say that they were, it was very much sort of an eye for an eye kind of thing. I personally wouldn't go so far as to say that, the people other than the Fireflies were evil. But they certainly aren't.
They were all cliches. The corrupt cop, the bikers, the pimp. It was all just playing with cliches.
Which is a bit of a 70s theme anyway.
Yeah.
So we get to the end, and we're finally at the Freebird scene, which he said, I think that was day 30 or something along those lines, and they finally were able to squeeze out enough money in the budget for a helicopter, which sort of gave you that scene. I guess nowadays they'd be using a drone or something along those lines. But you said, did you want to say something about Freebird?
No.
Okay.
We'll say the helicopter shots are cliche 70s shots, and this thing was just full of cliches as far as cinematography goes. It was a really good homage to those end chase scenes in a million 70s movies.
What was the other chase movie you were talking about? Not the car, the other one, the one with Dennis Weaver.
Oh, I can't remember now.
Okay.
Top of my head, I can't remember.
The one where he's being chased down by the 18-wheeler. Oh,
that I remember that. Yeah. I don't remember what it's called.
Yeah, that's kind of what that reminded me of more than the car. I'm still trying to forget the car. I'm holding a grudge because I can't see what's going on at the end of that damn movie. But what Rob Zombie said was that, I think maybe the last night of filming was one of the brothel nights or something, and he said it ended up turning into a real party. And he said what he didn't realize was that he really had casted like all of his friends in this movie. And it was just, he said it was very rare to be able to do that. Like every single person that they cast in this was a personal friend of his. And he said, in a way, he didn't want it to end because he realized that they had done something. They had done something very special, and I think that they had. I think that this is a very underrated film.
Yeah, well, it's hard for the normies to watch it. It's unrelentingly savage, man.
Yeah.
So it's hard. It's hard for anyone but either hardcore genre fans or just people who like torture porn to get into it.
Well,
it's a cult following since it came out.
Yeah, I think that his name gets sort of easily sort of dismissed.
Yes.
And the big name critics, if you're working for the big publications, when they put out the review of your movie, they give this snickering sort of review. Where you can feel them rolling their eyes when they write the review.
Oh yeah.
And you're actually watching something quite worthwhile.
Well, Ebert gave it a thumbs up, which I appreciated when I was researching this.
He actually would call it down the middle most of the time. And if a movie was bad, then maybe it was. I don't know. Eric's here, and that movie was Duel.
Oh yeah, Duel. Nice, thanks, Eric.
With Dennis Weaver. Okay. So I don't know. I guess what have we discovered? We don't like the Fireflies. You don't like the cops. There are no heroes here. That's for certain. And you haven't looked at me once for 51 minutes.
That's because I'm looking at you on the screen, but my camera's over to the side.
How is that working? That's weird.
Yeah, that's why.
Okay.
I am literally looking at you, but my camera's there.
Okay. Hold on a second.
But yeah, I love the film. I love Rob Zombie. I hate the characters.
Yeah, okay. That's fair enough. Like we said in our Halloween 1 and 2 episode, people seem to hate on Rob just to hate him. He sometimes just doesn't get a fair shake. I absolutely love this film. Yeah, and I guess I'm going to have to go back and check out House of a Thousand Corpses and post on that and
do it.
Tell you what I think.
Dr. Satan! I remember one of the kids who is in it is what's his name from the Talking Zombies show. I didn't recognize him when I first saw it.
Okay. I'll have to check it out. All right. Well, let's see. I guess that's it. It's been kind of a rambling episode, but it's kind of a fucked up movie. So, it's definitely worth, I think everybody here clearly has seen it. But yeah.
So watch it. And I gotta go see 3 from Hell.
Watch it again. Yeah, you do 3 from Hell. I'll do House of a Thousand Corpses, and we'll have to come back and compare notes at some point or something.
All right. Can't wait to do it again, man. Always fun as always.
Yeah, bro. Thanks so much. Tomorrow we'll be here with Big Fish and don't leave the stream just yet. I want to ask you something.
All right.
All right. BWB. I enjoyed this discussion. Hey, man. At this point, with these movies that have been around for so long, we're not just going through the sequence of events in the movies. We're having these conversations about the themes and, things that are going on. And, maybe we do it a little bit different. But thank you for stopping in. Come back anytime. If you watch this on the replay, please like the video. Consider subscribing to the channel. We'll be back tomorrow with Big Fish. At 8 p.m. That's a little different than what we're doing, but than what we usually do. But I'm doing it with my buddy's daughter, so you have to find an appropriate movie to review with your buddy's daughter.
It's a good movie to do.
Yeah, it is. BWB conversations like this are great. Yeah, I mean, Bill and I have known each other since '87, and we've been having conversations like that since '87. So, this is just kind of the way we go at it. All right, thank you everybody once again. We'll be back tomorrow, and Take care.